So if you count and you've got kind of 10 stitches and your motif is 40 stitches high, it's going to be 4 times that amount. So you can kind of put it on or over you. I like either using my circular needles, which actually join together, so they have like a little posh joiny bit, so I can put 2 circular needles together, if you can see that very well. There we go, it kind of just screws on and off. Or you can get a needle and thread and just pick up all your stitches on a piece of long yarn, try it on and see what you think. But that should give you the gauge. So if you think that 40 is quite a lot, so I'm gonna have like that much more, and then I've got my neckline, and then I've got my kind of straps that go over my shoulders. So I wanted to start it now nice and early, but if your motif is sort of a small motif, maybe like 10 by 10, you might not want to start it just yet. You might want to do sort of 10 more stitches so it sits more central, or sorry, 10 more rounds so it sits more central, or a few more so it sits higher up. I would not have it really low down. I don't think the placement's too great unless you're going to do a motif that starts, you know, near your ribbing, your twisted rib kind of hem. I wouldn't start it low down unless that's kind of a purposeful look. And I'm hoping in my retired fisherman's motifs I'm going to have some kind of like seaweed, so I suppose you could do some seaweed at the bottom and then a fish at the top. But yeah, this is where you have to kind of sit and you have to do some maths. So you start with, just to go back through it, finding your centre on your twisted rib seam. That's between your back going onto your front, and there's that purl stitch that sits in the middle, and that belongs to the back. So then you're going to count from that first twisted rib, knitting through the back loop, knit, and you're going to count all your stitches until you get to your left side, and then you're going to count the purl, the knit, and the purl, and that purl's your centre. And all those stitches you're going to write down. You're going to find your centre, so mine were 80, so I'm going to half it, 40. Put a little stitch marker in there so you know your centre, and then you should be able to get your motif, and say if your motif is 20, and you've got 80 stitches, you should be able to do 80, take 20, which gives you 60, 60 divided by 2, which gives you 30, and then you want 30 stitches on this side, 30 stitches on that side. As I said, I tried that for this, and it didn't go quite as I thought, and I looked at it and thought I've got more stitches on my left than my right. If that happens, with that stitch marker in there, just look at your pattern, and this is 1, 2, 4, 5. 5 away from my stitch marker is where that one started. So I know that that is there, and then obviously go 2 more over, and that's when I start. And then I would get to here, and then count how many you've got here and how many you've got here until you get to those side seams where it kind of is classed as the front. And if they're equal, you're good. If they're not, you need to rethink what you've done and have a little look. So yeah, it all depends on size of motif to what you're doing, but that's what I would look at. And I didn't kind of account for it going in the round, so I have some long floats that I'm going to catch in later. I have some that aren't, which are going that way, but then when I need to bring this back this way, that's what causes my long floats. These I don't do like that as much. I have them on separate balls, although it looks a bit crazy, so these are both on separate. So for my other colours, they're on separate ones because they're just going to be worked there, and then they will eventually, these arms of the octopus will meet up with this on both sides, but I don't need that longer stretch going across there. Hope that clarifies some stuff for that part. Thank you very much for listening.